Good morning, headmasters, Mrs. Lee, teachers, and fellow schoolmates. I'm Conn Lee from 12J, and I'm delighted to share some of my thoughts as a 12th grader who is about to leave the school in several months. Unlike many of you, I do not excel in academics. I do not have much talent in sports nor music. When I realized that I am given a chance to share on stage, I pretty much had a struggle on what should I talk about. Inspired by Ms. Lai sharing on her yoga experience a couple of weeks ago, as well as the recent art exhibition on campus, I thought that probably I should go for something that I personally find as a hobby, sketching. I discovered my interest on drawing when I was young. Since I was taught to use a pencil, I kept on doodling, sketching, scribbling, and lettering. Plants out of the window, medieval castles, in travel magazines, letter types, all these are the subjects of my, like the drawing and the painting. And these are quite primitive works, by the way. Later on, I experimented with different tools, such as watercolor, and pencils, and acrylic, oil, and even charcoal. So these are some of my works done in oil and charcoal. In the meantime, I began to draw outdoor, trying to render what I see in my surroundings. Pencil, fountain pen, watercolors are my favorite mediums for outdoor sketching. They're inexpensive, accessible, portable, and perfect to carry around the city. I wander around the city with them in my pocket, searching for ideal subjects to depict. Whenever the target is set, I sit down at a corner on the street and look for a good angle to begin my work. So this is like in progress, the work is in progress, and at the end it becomes this. So how do I draw? I've encountered these questions numerously. Let's break it down in two parts, the input and the output. Well, in such context is to observe and to render. I would say 2/3 of my time is spent on observing the environment, observing the subject that I'm going to depict. I try to analyze what's happening because it's so dynamic on the street. Like cars are moving by, people walking by, and I have to capture the essence of their movements. To be frank, I'm quite reluctant in depicting people as they're more difficult to depict, so I focus more on buildings and structures. I need to identify what my subject is, hence I have to set my focus. That means to decide what to include and what to exclude from my work. The shadows and the contrast on the rear of the building may seem beautiful. An ordinary facade on the side of the building could be a source of delight. Who knows? Drawing is something quite subjective, I would say. It's all about what you intend to add and rule out in your own work. And you have to spotlight your emphasis through this. There's a great resemblance between drawing and photography in my point of view. They're like two sides of a coin. Like the composition between the two are quite similar. After understanding what I'm going to draw, I usually begin with a rough sketch, either in pencil or in pigment. Simply put down the proportion and make sure the scales are right. You draw what you see. You're basically transplanting your visuals onto the paper in your own interpretation. A lot of people believe that they couldn't draw because they're not trained to do so. However, I think that everyone is able to draw. Why not try to put more effort in observation, in observing, looking into the details of things that you tend to overlook? The essence of drawing as an expression is not to duplicate beautiful things perfectly, but to create what you think is worth to project from your own perception and perspective. You are showing the viewer, if there's any, how you are seeing the world. In other words, you are defining your own aesthetic. Whenever I pick up my pen, my thoughts diminish and my mind goes naturally to the tip of the pen. I see it as a sort of meditation, an escape from all those distractions in life. I go selfless in only 2 occasions. Either you get me drunk or you give me a pen. In some sense, I do my work unconsciously, because I'm too concentrated to be even aware of my own existence. Let your sensations flow seamlessly, and it brings about relief and pleasure. So this is one of my sketch of DBS, our school. And basically, I draw everywhere I go, on the streets, in school, of course, not in class. The 17th century Dutch painter Johannes Vermeer is renowned for his subtle yet glamorous painting styles. He treated his subjects, mostly common people and calm landscapes, with immense devotion and persistence. They might not seem emotionally exciting or breathtaking in any sense, yet we must say that they are quite intuitively pleasing. One can only please others if he can please himself in private. I do not intend to persuade any one of you to draw, as everyone has his own interest. I do encourage you, however, look for a hobby that you find pleasure therein. Do something that you truly feel happy about. Maybe cooking, doing sports, playing music. Free your mind and do not calculate before you do it. Teach us delight in simple things, reads our school hymn. Try to observe more, dig deeper into minor things in life, so that you may see a world in a grain of sand. This is admittedly a bit cliché, but pretty much concludes my message today. A week ago, Ryan Yun from 12P has talked about struggles he's facing in his education. Ryan, as a student from the science stream, thinks that much knowledge we learn from secondary school is to be challenged when we get into university. On contrast, being a humanities student, however, I think that the current curriculum is bringing a collapse to my own understanding of knowledge. It is tearing apart my existing perception of this world and coercing me to abandon my common sense. Everything the system demands us to acquire is too fake to be comprehended. One has to degenerate himself in order to succeed in such a system, in order to fulfill the requisite requirements of the system. The effort that one spends on skill-based drills and different mock exams, maybe past papers, is exceedingly huge. When one could have spent the time more efficiently with something more in-depth. The examination eliminates all possibilities out of the rigid marking schemes, which are generated from conformity in answers, but not different form or interpretations of truth. I'm referring in particular to the subject liberal studies under this system. As Voltaire has said, doubt is not a pleasant condition, but certainty is absurd. Ironically, under this kind of assessment, we are not encouraged to express our authentic ideas, nor to narrate our own perception of truth. One must transiently stifle his beliefs or thoughts to acknowledge the absolute certainty of HKEAA. Examination does not assess one's knowledge on a particular subject, but it does assess if one is willing to submit himself to comply with the rules. We often get lost in this cruel game of examination, by which we are subordinated. We become inferior, desperate, and helpless. It seems that we can do nothing to change our despair. Suffer is inevitable in life. All men are doomed to suffer. We happen to be inferior when we attempt to confront sadness, pain, and sorrow. That's the reason why I draw. Through drawing, I'm refusing to be judged. I am rejecting values asserted by the authority. I am making my own value instead, by means of pen and paper. So my fellow classmates and schoolmates, let not the DSC dominate yourself. There are much more brilliant stuff to be seen in this world beyond textbooks, past paper, mock exams, and classrooms. Before I finish, I would like to share a song with you all, as it's also dedicated to my fellow 12th graders who are putting a lot of effort in the preparation for DSE. And it is a Cantonese rap song, by the way. Well, I'm not going to sing it, but I'm going to play it with English subtitles. To finish my sharing today, I wish everyone success in your academics, and not to mention in your life. Thank you.